Thank you. Thank you for joining me for this rune reading, taking an overview of dominant themes and trends in 2026. Now, first of all, I want to mention Sol or Cerulo that is positioned on the left of this reading. And there is a good reason for that, because I always like to have some optimism in the equation. And very helpfully, this rune has turned up, which indicates that after difficulties, better times should be in the offing. Of course, there is always the proviso that these are worked towards, but this rune is always a very good indicator in troubled times that improvement will come after difficulty. And I know that that isn't what many of us will want to hear. But to come to the themes that were present last year of increasing conflict, increasing unrest in many places, things that we could rely upon or thought we could change in ways that we did not consider to be very favourable, and also quite a lot of severe weather events or earth-centred events. By earth-centred events, I mean things like happenings like volcanoes, earthquakes, that sort of thing, or situations that cause flooding or damage. So that also extends to weather events. And I do realise that this year we've got off to a flying start with that, with all of these themes that I've just mentioned. But looking at the rune in the centre, it does suggest that this will continue for a while longer, and also that the exacerbations that we have seen with these themes, where they've amped up a lot or become relevant in areas that we would not expect, to continue. And when we look at the rune in the centre, there, Pickley, in this kind of general reading, we are looking at, as it is in a reverse position with its straight edge to the right, we are very much looking at things that are challenging, that are difficult, and also situations where we don't really know what to do for the best. And I feel that this not knowing what to do for the best is another angle, if you like, or an increasing angle in comparison to how things have been in 2025. But of course, we have to find ways forward, we always do. And to emphasize that point, we have daggers or dagger in the reverse position, where it looks like an egg timer. And I always say that when it looks like an egg timer, it is calling time. In other words, it is speaking about pathways or ways of doing things that we have done and they've served us well. Maybe they haven't served us so well in recent times, but it is speaking about situations where we would say, we cannot think about this in the same way. We cannot approach it in the same way. So these two runes are a little bit challenging, whereas Sorolo is the opposite of challenging. It also reminds us that sometimes in the middle of challenging situations, that an idea or a happening that we did not expect can sometimes make a positive difference. So it is important to bear that in mind as well. But to come back to the theme highlighted by Ver Pitley, is very much about, in this orientation, information, and how there will be many circumstances where we don't have the right information. That can be because information is being hidden deliberately, or a false picture is being painted, or it can simply be that not enough consideration has been given because of pressure of time. But this rune always invites us in situations where there seems to be a paucity of information, or we're not clear on certain facts, that we need to ask questions. It suggests that we ask questions, very, very much so. And of course, that is the same whether it is in the life of an individual or whether it is in the bigger circumstances that go on in the world. So to look at this reading, there are challenges. There is the strong likelihood of not necessarily more natural disasters. I feel ones that perhaps call our attention, call us to attention a little bit more. Because let's face it, if something happens in a very remote area of the world where nobody lives, we don't always take much notice of it, do we? But I feel that there will be situations where evacuations or big adaptations are required in a few instances. And I feel that, this is going to make people think a little bit more about these things and how we plan ahead and so on, because that is showing in this reading. Regarding conflicts, I feel that there will still be, as happened in 2025, new issues of conflict blowing up at short notice that just have to be dealt with. But there is a reminder here that this is a period of time. And of course, how humanity handles it is important. It makes a difference. Not so much with the earth-centered things in the immediate future, because obviously what we do there can only have an effect over time. But with human issues, there is always the possibility of doing something differently. But having said that, it does look as though certainly the first few months of the year are bringing more of the same and in a more intense form in some areas. I have done readings on different parts of the world that go into more detail concerning the trends and dynamics that are likely in those places. Thank you for joining me for this reading. I do offer personal readings, and you can find details of the readings that I offer at my website, K Cook Spirit Wings, along with my contact details.